welcome to my channel, and make sure that you hit that subscribe, smash that like, and ring that notification bell for more content. This year's Doodle for Google has been the theme kindness, and when I first started out this journey, it was completely baffling. I had no clue how I was going to do about it. And then I remembered a few weeks prior, it was Kindness Week, and the principal came on to the intercom and said for all the staff to wear cardigans like Mr. Rogers, and to remind people of It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and be more kind, honest, etc., etc., everything that he did on his 31 Kids show. At the time, I had no clue who he was. Everybody was talking about him. I didn't know who he was. I never seen him. He didn't exist to me. And so I'm like, maybe I should look into this guy. And so I did. And so I found a few reference pictures that you saw at the very beginning. And then I looked on Amazon. They had like the best of Mr. Rogers. I watched like 3 episodes. I found some YouTube videos of him. And I'm like, you know what? We're gonna do Mr. Rogers. So here we are, we're doing Mr. Rogers. And I didn't really know what I was going to do for the rest of the thing. I knew that I wanted King Friday's head and Mr. Rogers' head to be the ooh in Google, or the Google. But I didn't know what else I was going to do. I also had a vague idea of what I was going to do with the trolley. I knew I wanted the trolley in there, and I thought about having the trolley just going around and around, weaving in and out between the signs and throughout the picture, but then I decided against it and decided to put it in front of Mr. Rogers and behind Friday's cape. And then I wanted the trolley track, to turn into the lowercase g in this second part of Google. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do for the big G and the L and the E. I had no clue how I was going to do that, and I thought, you know what? Let's concentrate on the oohs and the G. So I concentrated on Friday, Mr. Rogers, and then the tram. And then I would concentrate later on the lowercase g. I decided, you know what? Maybe when I was doing Mr. Rogers, I thought about having just Mr. Rogers' cardigan being red, so it made it stand out. But it turns out I ended up coloring the whole thing because it looked a bit bland. So I thought maybe if I just did yellow highlights, and then I discovered, oh wait, that doesn't really that really doesn't do anything for the picture, because then it'd be detracting from the trolley sign with King Friday's head, and I just, like, well, if I do one yellow, I have to do all the yellow. And so I did all the yellow, faded it so it wouldn't be as bold. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make the big G a cardigan in the shape of a G, and make that red, and just leave that, and everything else would be black and white and yellow, or faded yellow. And then as I progressed, it didn't turn out that way. I ended up coloring the whole thing, as you saw in the very first picture of the video. So when I was researching Mr. Rogers, I started asking around, who is Mr. Rogers, and people were like, you don't know Mr. Rogers? You don't know Mr. Rogers? What? And I was like, I don't have TV at my house. It's the middle of kidding season. It's chaotic at my house right now. But the whole thing making this was a rush. Doing almost every waking hour doing this instead of homework, instead of prep, instead of anything else. I even brought it to school to work in my spare time. I did nothing else. Didn't watch YouTube. I didn't do any homework. I didn't do any of that. I did all my homework 10 minutes before it was due. Master procrastinator here. So I was working on it, and I was working on it, and I was working on it, and I was spending every day on it. And then when the deadline came on the 13th, I was literally working until the very end to submit it. And we had lost power, and I was panicking, and I was all jittery. I'm like, no, I really want that scholarship. And then we lost power, and I was freaking out. And then I turned it in by the skin of my teeth, like 10 seconds to spare before it was overdue. And then once I turn it in, the sign comes up, "Oh, we've extended the deadline to the 20th. And I'm like, that was unnecessary. I didn't need to have all that stress. I didn't need to do all that copy and pasting at the end. I could have actually taken my time, but I can't fix it now because I already turned it in. And I was a bit peeved. And so I had stopped working on my art project, which is this canvas, just to do this. And Mr. was like, "Well, when are you gonna do that? I want you to finish it." I'm like, "As soon as I get this Doodle for Google done." And it's due tomorrow. She's like, "Okay, so you're not gonna be working on it for very long." And I'm like, "Yeah, as soon as school gets out." This was this past Friday. And then I'm like, "Okay, starting Monday, I'm gonna work on my canvas. I don't have to worry about this anymore. I can concentrate on my oil canvas." And what do? What does the school do? It cancels. Until further notice, because of the stupid corona. And I was really looking forward to finishing my canvas. It's a rather large canvas. It's of this slope mountain thing with a barn in the corner. Well, I don't know. But anyways, I was really looking forward to finishing it. And I'm thinking I think the schools, especially since we're in a state that has no confirmed cases, I think they're overstoking it. Yeah, that's just my opinion though. Whenever you're watching the video, it looks like I'm a turntable going round and round and round. Do all digital artists do this? Is it just me, or is it all artists? There you go, leave a comment on what you think. So this is the beginning stage of my Google. I knew this was the beginning, yeah. And then there's the outline, sort of, Daniel as the L. And then I colored in the hair. Then I started working on King Friday. Then I did the cardigan. And then I colored the cardigan. And I thought about having the G just be a G instead of a cardigan shaped as a G. And I ended up having to take my own picture with my own cardigan shaped as a G because I couldn't find anything online that was suitable. So thank you for visiting my channel. I'll be posting more narrative speed paints, short films every once in a great while, and even a few animations. This video was created for the 2020 Doodle for Google contest, got music from filmmusic.io, has a lot of variety, awesome stuff, quality, not sponsored anything, everything I did by myself. Remember, subscribe and like, but most importantly, don't forget to brush your teeth, kids.